Ever had a conversation where you made a bold statement, then paused, tilted your head, and said, "On second thought"? Welcome to On Second Thought with Erick, Richey, and Bish, where hot takes meet humble pivots, where leadership, life, and current events collide, and where it's perfectly fine to change your mind, out loud. Whether it's marriage, manhood, or the madness in the media, Erick and Bish bring humor, heart, and a little healthy debate, because wisdom lives on the other side of, "Wait, let me rethink that." This is On Second Thought. Press play and be ready to pause.
So how's it going, man?
It's going. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Nice Sunday. You guys finally warming up on the East Coast?
Yes, I got to look at what is it today is like the hottest day of the year so far. Today it's going to be 80. It's going to be
Nice.
80 today. Yes, and I'm going out and playing golf with some frat brothers. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Nice.
That should be fun. And the cool thing is we are going I forget what the name of the place is, Bullock or something like that, but we're going to a place where you can instead of riding in a cart, you have these motorcycles that holds your golf I don't know what you want to call it, your golf
Bag.
Bag. Yeah, it holds your golf bag. And you can, so you just ride on a motorcycle, this little motorcycle that you can do. So we're doing that. So looking forward to that. We've been talking about that for a minute. So I think that's going to be fun today, especially the opportunity to take advantage of this really nice weather. So it's sort of going to be a perfect day. So how about you? What are you guys up to? It's super hot out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like in the mid 90s out here. So we got kind of red yesterday at the kids' soccer games. And then today, probably smoke some meat, hang out in the backyard, and just enjoy the weather. So
okay, so a lot of things you said need some translation. So let's start with for my black friends, he got red. That means they got sunburned. That's what happens for sunburn.
Oh, yeah.
and when he says smoke some meat, that could be a lot of interpretation of what the hell he's talking about there. But I think he's actually talking about on a smoker.
A ribeye. I'm going to take a ribeye.
Just checking. Knowing you, man, it could have been anything. So.
What's worse is when my people say, "What are you going to do? You're going to be smoking this weekend?" And I was like, "Hold on, what are we talking about?"
Right? Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. But yeah, so that's my plan for today. Just take it easy and enjoy the backyard a little bit and this warm weather.
Yeah, absolutely. I just came in. Erick was outside actually already on the deck, which is sort of early for her to be out there. But yeah, so it's, and I love one of the things I like about where we are is that we have the woods behind us, and so we get to see wildlife. And so there was a deer bedded down right in our backyard, essentially not quite our backyard. The wood line is right behind our house, so right inside the wood line. So every once in a while I get to see some stuff like that, which I enjoy.
Wildlife, and you get to see the trees start coming back to life and everything. So that's kind of nice. Yeah,
but the bugs come with it. That's the negative. Is the bugs come with it, right? So the last time we played golf, which was the first time we played golf of the season, it was the first sort of semi-warm day, and the bugs were terrible. I mean, it was so bad. It almost made the golf like not worth it, like legitimately.
Now you spray yourself with off or whatever before you go out.
No, but I said I would bring some, and that's a good point. I need to make sure I grab some, or I think I have some downstairs. Yeah, I forgot about that. My memory's terrible, so yeah, it's terrible. All right, so what do you have in your cup today, sir?
I got a little bit of coffee with some coconut rum going on today.
You have completely made the transition to coconut rum, man. Ever since you had that left over from when I didn't drink it, you've been using it. So I have some whiskey, essentially a whiskey sour. We'll call it a whiskey sour.
Nice. Yeah, I've been trying to stay away from sugars as much as possible, but a little bit in alcohol, so I have a little bit.
Wait, your coffee is it sweetened or not sweetened?
Not sweet.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, I can't put sugar or anything in it anymore. So yeah, pre-diabetic, man. So it changes how you look at things. I used to never enjoy black coffee. So this is something that it makes me enjoy the quality of good coffee now. So I see the difference for sure. But yeah, I used to love sweet tea. I'm in the South, right? So yeah, sweet tea everywhere. I get jealous. My son still likes sweet tea. I'm not. But no, I had to cut all those things out and try to adjust where I can. So
yeah. Understood. How was work this week?
It was a half week because my kids were in spring break. So I
Mhm.
worked only the last 2 days of the week. So I took off 3 days of it, the first 3 days of their spring break. And we went fishing. My son caught his first wide mouth bass. So that was kind of
Okay.
cool.
Nice. Okay.
It was the last cast of the day. Like we were like calling it a day, and we didn't have any bait on it or anything. It was just my
Wait.
favorite one, and it looks like a minnow. It looks like a
Oh,
minnow.
you said
with a
no
little
bait,
hook,
but
so-
you mean it was artificial.
Yeah, I mean, the hook looked like a fish, basically,
yeah.
but we didn't put anything on the hook itself. We just were throwing it out to do one less cast, and he threw it really far out because we were just from the banks of the lake, and he was super excited. So
Nice.
that's an experience that will be locked in as well. So, but yeah,
Did you get a
we hung
picture?
out. Yeah. I'll send you the picture. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah. He was pretty excited, and then my youngest son also was there, and we got some crawdads. So they just got some crawdads right out of the side of the lake as well, because we had a little net. So they really enjoyed themselves. And it's funny because I said it's 90 degrees today. We did this earlier in the week when it was like in the 40s and 50s. But my son was determined. He wanted to go fishing during his spring break, and we went. So,
I'm sure he's glad he did now, right? He got to catch something.
He enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, we've been fishing in little ponds and stuff for years since they were little. Never had any success. It was just the joy of hanging out with each other for an hour or two, and it's one time they don't argue, too much, and they dare to support each other. But it was a cool experience for them to do that. And then what's really hard is going back to work for just 2 days.
Oh yeah.
That's because you have 100 emails you come back to, that you have to catch up on those things, and then you got to get back into the swing of it. And I love it when you get that email that says, "Hey, sorry to dump this on you. It's just 2 days left of the week when you come back, but can you take care of ABC?" And it's like that whole sense of calm and the break just goes away so quickly. So but that was my last week, so it was nice, I would say, overall in general.
Good. Anytime that I come back, to your point, anytime I come back from a time off, the first thing I always think is I need to find a job where I can just always be off, or just be independently wealthy, like something like it. I always just go. I need to be off more. Like I don't go. I'm ready to come back and like kill it at work. I go. I need to be off more. Like that's my thing. Like I enjoy it so much. I'm like I need to be off more. But I know that's everybody's issue, right? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we have the worst vacation time in the world. Being in America. I mean, we started the Industrial Revolution, and we've never really figured out how to really relax. You get 2 weeks of vacation on average, most places, or they start with one. And in Europe, you can get like months off at a time. They go on a real holiday to actually refresh it, and the company doesn't shut down and things don't fail because that person is not there.
Right.
So it is definitely challenging. Where I'm at now, the nice thing is we do have 4 weeks, which is tough in itself. It's tough to find that time to take off, because it always feels like when you leave is when something always ends up happening, especially when you're the leader. It seems like all of a sudden I need to catch you now while you're out, because this emergency thing just came up.
So do you assign someone to be your backup, like to cover for you when you're gone, somebody on your team? So those are the times.
Sometimes I do, but sometimes I have a peer have to check in.
Have somebody on your team, like give them that opportunity to step up and learn
if they're there. But like last week, my lead person was also off for the week as well.
So then the next person, right? So that
person was also off,
and then the next person, the whole team wasn't off, right? So
the problem was I'm new to the team. It's only been 4 months there, so I haven't had the opportunity to grow people into that cross-functional position yet, but I have a couple of people that are accelerated in their role that can deliver the same message and have that same thing. But sometimes you find that if it's
not the pool, man, just push them into the pool, buddy. They will swim.
Well, sometimes if you get the wrong person to be the voice of you while you're out, wrong messages get delivered as well, and then you come back.
Figure that out, man. You can figure that out. I'm telling you, people. I'm not saying everybody, but lots of people want the opportunity. They want to feel like you have the confidence in them, and they want to show that they can do it. And the thing is you set them up for success, not for failure. So an example is, if you have a peer that's going to do it, then the peer can be the person that if they have questions, they can go to the peer. but at least they're the ones sitting in the seat, and they're the ones who sort of have that experience, right? You know what I'm saying? So you're setting up so that they're gonna be in a situation where they're gonna actually fail, but they have the opportunity to sort of succeed a little bit. I don't know. I just think it's not a good opportunity.
I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I actually do that more often than not. But this is, again, it's a team that doesn't have a lot of leadership, nor people that want to be leaders. They don't like managing people. They don't like, they don't know how to deliver messages, and they recognize that. So those are things that we're actively working on for people to get to the next level. But it's really too new when key people are out.
Yeah.
Who's left behind? Worker bees that don't really want to deliver a message to the team. So it becomes a little challenging, but we got through it. It worked out. I didn't see any big fall downs, but I could definitely see, we're 3 months into the new year, and you can see the burnout is definitely coming in on some people already, because they're not taking off the time that they need to. So they push through, and then they start getting burned out and less connected, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, this is my first break of the new year, and my next one won't be until June, when I'm going to Orlando to see my stepdaughter. So that's, every 3 months is a tough time to also take a break, because you just need a mental reset sometimes. So yeah,
I try to take those long weekends. Like, for example, if there's a holiday, there's a Monday that I'm going to be off, I'll often take the Friday off too. That feels like a little mini vacation, right? Especially if you try to do something, go just get out, do whatever the case is, to try to string those things through. But this year will be a little bit different because of Kayla's surgery, and so I'm sort of holding much of the leave to be able to take, sick leave and leave and so forth, during the time where she'll be sick. I don't know how much she'll need, because Erick is going to be off during the summer, right? Because, as a teacher, so she'll be there for the most part, but I want to make sure that I'm able to, So Erick and I are doing a little spring break thing in Virginia Beach not next week, the week after next, something like that. And then we have we finalized the plans, at least the initial plans for our 30-year trip, being married for 30 years. And so we're going to St. Martin in October. So our 25-year trip was to the DR, and so the 30-year trip is to St. Martin. At some point we'll go across the pond. We just like blue waters and not doing nothing. So that's nice. In 30 years, man, congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, coming up in it's half a year, 6 months. Yeah, almost 6 months to the day. Yeah, 6 months in a week. It'll be 30 years. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a lot.
Crazy. I see all the people who have. Well, here's what I will say. Aside from all the grades that you do see, because I have not shaved, a lot of people that I've seen that have been married for 30 years, I feel like they look way older than us, man. I don't know. I feel like we're a young 30-year couple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's a young 30-year couple. So it's not bad, because I saw some other people talking about celebrating 30 years. And they look like they was like 70 or something. I don't know. They just look way older. So but yeah, 30 years, man. It's been a ride. It's been a ride. So
it has been, man. That's impressive. I mean, I know maybe 2 people for 30 years, and that's about it, outside of family. So that's an impressive feat for sure, man. So a lot of things to learn from you. I'll pick your brains as the years go on, for sure, to get there, because I'm entering a year and a half. So
yeah.
So got a lot to learn still.
Well, if I'll help you, I'll give you a little clue. It's all downhill from where you are. Just go. No, I'm joking. No. But I did ask Erick today, right before I came on. I was like, "Would you ever want to come on the podcast and have like a conversation about relationships, and if like maybe Berner was on?" And she said she was considerate. That's what she said. So that's something we may want to think about if we want to have them on and have a conversation where all the crap that we talk about relationships, they can come on and just undo it and be like, these idiots have no idea what they're talking about. They're terrible, but it'll be all right.
I didn't realize my, because when we started these conversations, it's just you and I having conversations and then posted, and we're just talking and catching up. Now my wife's listening to them, and I'm having to remember, what did I say 8 months ago, 9 months ago? Because she's like, I remember when you were talking about this, and I'm like, really? You okay? Yeah. And I'm just thinking, did I say something I'm going to get in trouble about right now?
Probably.
What did I say?
Yeah. Listen, I thought I was good at getting myself in trouble. You are masterful
I am.
at saying some shit that I'm like, that's gonna come back to haunt his ass a little bit later, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I get in trouble both ways. I get in trouble for what I say, and then I get in trouble for not saying enough. So I get it.
What does it mean? What do you mean not saying enough? No, seriously, give me an example. Like, I don't understand that.
For not saying enough.
Yeah, like what?
Okay, so I like to work through arguments sometimes, or disagreements, or misunderstandings. I like to usually work my way through them. But once I've said my piece, I like to say that's it. We solved the problem. We recognized what the issue was. In this case, I'll say the issue was me. So I'll say, okay, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done this, or I wasn't aware that I did this, perhaps.
I like you say in this case, as opposed to pretty much in every case.
In every case. In every case.
In every case.
And that's the point I always try to make. There's nothing I try to do intentionally to hurt you, to hurt your feelings, to make you feel slighted in any way. And sometimes my head just goes to different spaces. So you could be talking to me, and I might space out to, oh gosh, I got to look at my phone to figure out what's the timing of XYZ that we're getting ready to go to, or something just caught my eye and I got squirreled while we're in the middle of a conversation. So now you feel like I'm ignoring you, which I probably am.
How about this, true, man? Yeah.
But I don't. But I'm not intentionally thinking I'm ignoring you because I'm still continuing the conversation. But visually, it doesn't look like it. You know, like sort of like when you're on a date and you're having a conversation and all of a sudden they pick up their phone and they look at it and you're in mid conversation. So I get where that comes from.
Right.
But my point is, I'll resolve it. I own it. I apologize. It was wrong. But she'll want to keep talking about it because she wants to feel she just get it off to feel better that her point was made. And
was it her point was made or her point was heard?
Heard.
Understood.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure heard, because I think it's important to have a voice and to know that your voice is heard. So regardless of what the conversation is, if you feel like you're not being listened to, then why are you going to continue to communicate?
Right.
So I'll shut down in a sense, meaning what else can I say that's going to get me out of this trouble that I already apologized for and I already owned and acknowledged? So then I'll get in trouble for not continuing the conversation further on my side. Like I'll continue to listen to her side and say, okay, yes, absolutely, okay. But there's nothing else that I'm going to say that's going to resolve her side of it. It's got to come from her side. But if I stay quiet for too long, then it's like, you're not even participating in the conversation anymore. I'm like, well, I thought I said everything that I needed to. I thought I was just supporting you and getting through the frustrations that you have. So that's where the silent part gets me in trouble as well. So I can get in trouble for saying something. I can get in trouble for not saying something.
Depending on the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So,
and have you learned from, like, in other words, when I say learned from it, like have you figured out the strategy for knowing when to say something, when not to say something?
No, absolutely not. No. Okay. I don't know. You've been married 30 years. Have you figured out how you get yourself in trouble sometimes and how you get yourself out of trouble?
I have figured out, I have definitely, I know the patterns and I know it. And sometimes I'm smart enough to see it ahead of time and get out of it, and other times I forget and I do it anyway, and then other times I go, you know what, like I don't feel like I should have to do blah 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 blah, so I just and then I'm like, that was the stupidest shit you did, bro.
You're like, okay, let's get into a fight. We're going to get into
and I don't think I'm trying to get into a fight. I just think I'm just like, you know what, because sometimes it feels like such hard work, I think, in order to sort of avoid the landmines and so sometimes I just don't feel like the hard work. Well, here's the thing though. What I don't always realize is I'm gonna do the hard work one way or another. I'm either going to do it on the front end to avoid it and to handle it well so that we don't go down that path, or now I got to deal with it because now we're going down that path, right? And going down that path is always worse. But sometimes I just go, or sometimes I go, I bet I can do this thing I know I'm not really supposed to do, but I can handle it well so it won't turn into a thing. And then I don't handle it well and it turns into a thing, or I'm not as good as I think I am, and then it still turns into a thing. And I'm just like, that was so stupid. You just do what you know you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, and then you'll be fine. And I'm sure she would go, that's exactly what I need you to understand. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, and everything will be fine. But you know, that's life, man. So that's what I've learned in my 30 years is do what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. That's my 30-year lesson. You know what I'm saying? So
I think
yeah.
I didn't realize this until the other day, but I think I get some of this from our mom. And we noticed this when we were at the soccer game and my wife was talking to my mom, and my mom zoned out while they were in a conversation. And I could see that's what I do. I mean, I could see what it looks like to her. I don't realize I'm doing it. Like when I do it, I'm not doing it intentionally to ignore you. I'm not doing it intentionally to hurt you and say I'm over this conversation. I do it because I get squirreled. I don't know what you want to call it, ADD. I don't know if you want to categorize it or whatever, but I know that my mind is thinking about 3 other things while we're having a conversation. Right. As much as I want to be mindful of our conversation because it's super important to me, and I don't intentionally stop listening.
Right.
And I own that. And I try to be intentional about focusing on our conversation, regardless of what it is. But sometimes I do. I get either comfortable or I get squirreled, however you want to look at it or categorize it. So, and I need to do better. And I try to do better about it because I could see how it affects her. And I could see it while she's talking to my mom and my mom's zoning out. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I continuing to talk? Because I see that I lost their eyes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Lost their eyes, you know? So, yeah. So I didn't realize it until it was pointed out to me as well. And that's what it looks like. And now my kids do it as well when I'll be in the same room with them talking and they actually don't hear me. So now I've learned to say their name before I start the conversation.
Okay.
Say their name, get their attention, and then I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm repeating myself.
Right.
So,
yeah. So when you get sort of distracted in those moments, are you still hearing her and understanding her? Like, are you, or are you actually, is your attention actually diverted and it's actually legit that you're not actually fully in that conversation?
No, actually not in that conversation.
Oh shit. Well then, yeah, that's like super legit, man. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't hear, I don't hear that it started again. I don't hear that there's anything else going on for whatever reason. I've zoned in on I've zoned in on whatever the next thing is that I feel like I need to do. Okay. So and again, that's unintentional. It's just I'm trying to resolve so many issues at one time, and that's just what I do because I think we have so many different things going on all the time that I'm trying to stay up and ahead of everything. So I think that's
when you try to solve too many things, you end up solving nothing, right? You know what I'm saying? But do you guys have a way that she brings you back other than like fuss with you, be mad at you? But do you guys have a shorthand for how she can go, I'm noticing this, I need you here, sort of thing?
On occasion she'll do that, like, hey, I lost you, and I'm like, oh no, she said something that triggered something else that I'm trying to solve, but she's moved on with her conversation and I'm trying to think of the last thing she was just talking about. So that's where I'll get lost sometimes. But yeah, she'll do that. But again, 1.5 years, 30 years, so it's like I'm still trying to figure out the triggers. I'm also trying to be more mindful in my situations, be more involved and be more aware. So yeah.
Well, it would be interesting. You know what we should do? We should have our wives on, but I think for context, we should also have like our exes on. So you should have like your ex-wife on. I should have some old girlfriends on. Like it'd be a great experience to see like how they would all sort of. No,
you know what's funny? You say that though, because we recently talked about the issue of this is my 3rd marriage, and I talked about how I'm a different person now. And obviously you have to be as you get older, but a different person now than I was then. So she's like, I wish we would have met earlier. And I said, I don't know if you would have liked me the way that I was earlier. And that's probably why I had to take some ownership to why those other marriages didn't work. Right. And it was reflecting as to the type of person I was, I mean, you saw what type of manager I was when I first started. Right. And that's where we connected. And maybe I was that same way in my personal life. Right. And I probably was, because I often tell people what you do in your professional life carries over to your personal life. So if you become a better listener and a better communicator at work, you'll become a better listener and communicator at home.
Yeah.
But if you're also not at work, you're probably not at home. And that's
Yeah.
where some issues were arising, because I knew that I wasn't a great listener at work. It was my way or the highway. And that was it. And that's all I knew, because I didn't have any great mentors around me at the time. And I never, self-reflected as to caring about anyone's feelings about any of the stuff. The job had to get done, and that was it. And I probably carried that into my personal life, which made my relationships probably pretty tough, So not that I was a controlling person, but that I liked things a certain way.
Right.
So I think that was probably challenging in those relationships. And I've learned that's not who I want to be, and that's not what people enjoy around me. So I had to self-reflect, make changes, and find something that I enjoy being as well. Because being a hard ass all the time isn't fun for anybody, and it's exhausting for me.
Yeah.
People don't realize that, like, when you're a dick, it's hard to be a dick sometimes, because you're by yourself. You don't have a lot of people backing your play, and you're it's a lonely position, and that's why they say it's lonely at the top, because you have to make the tough decisions. But sometimes you're making some bad decisions too.
Yeah. I mean, and you mentioned sort of being a dick, and then also being hard for a long period of time. And there's there's like medication to try to fix that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to go to the hospital to get it.
I don't want that
it's
fixed.
Not
I want to keep people happy.
People don't want
they do
to be a hard dick for a long period of time. Right? It's tough, man. You got to get like surgical intervention sometimes. You know what I'm saying, to get that shit fixed. So
no.
You got to be careful, man.
You want to keep that going, man. Keep that hard ride up. So
yeah, okay, all right, that's what you say, man. All right, that's what you say.
I own it. I'm owning it. So.
But you said something that was interesting, which made me think. So you talked about that you've been married 3 times, right? And that you were probably a different person in each of those marriages. Right. And the thing that popped into my head was, we've been married for 30 years, but we have changed so much over the course of that we've had different marriages over that time. Right. Our marriage was very different in the first 5 years versus the second 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting, and I haven't thought it through to sort of say where I think those transitions were. But if I look at what our marriage looks like right now and who we are as the 2 individuals right now and as a couple, it is very different from who we were when we first started, from who we were in the middle of our relationship. And so I wonder if one of the keys is the ability to sort of change and grow with each other. You know what I'm saying? Over the course of that time, because you as an individual are going to change, and your marriage is going to change, right? And it's not going to be the exact same thing. Ours didn't, at least. And so it's not going to be the exact same thing over the course of that time. And if you sort of stay expecting it to be one thing, then you end up feeling very sort of disappointed in the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And I will tell you that one of the things, I haven't talked to Erick about this yet, but one of the things that I mentioned is that, when I was sort of reflecting on the fact that we have been married for 30 years, I was like, you know what though? Because we had lots of challenges and tribulations and turbulence and really happy times throughout those 30 years. But I was like, I want to make the next 30 like the best 30. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually said that consciously to myself. I was like, I want to make the next 30 the best 30, right? And so I'm excited actually about the idea of working towards that. Right. And so I think even then, as we look forward, the next 30 is going to look different. The next 10 is going to look different than the last 10, that sort of thing. And we have to sort of be able to adjust and grow with each other, because, we all change, we all change over time. Right.
You hear that a lot of marriages, right, though, is where one person's changing and the other person isn't, and they're not going along for the ride. And they're not finding ways of reconnecting. Like what drove them together originally has kind of faded, and one goes this way and one goes this way, and they never find ways of coming together and doing things together, and
right.
I think that's huge that you guys do that. You do something and she comes along because she wants to be a part of that.
Right.
Whereas, she does something and then maybe you go along and do that, even though you wouldn't normally want to, but you're trying to connect and spend time together. And I think a lot of couples don't. A lot of couples go do their own things. You go do the golf thing and she'll go do the the book club thing, you know, with their friends or whatever, and you guys don't have anything to talk about. You don't have anything in common anymore. You guys are no longer a couple, you're roommates, and then it's like, well, this isn't sexy and this isn't fun, and it's not why I got married. And there's work in relationships that people forget about, and it's nice where you guys can grow together and change. Because when you guys were together, you were kids to start out with.
We were
you
so
were
young.
Kids without kids.
I remember when I was 18.
Kids, then you were kids with kids because you were young when you had kids, and now you are adults with adult kids.
We're still kids. We're still kids. We're just grown ass kids. But
yes, that's all we are. People don't realize that it's just an age, but you know, it is one of those things where you've gone for full cycle, and you guys get to try to be a couple again without the influence of the children that get in the way of relationships a lot, you know, and definitely mess with a couple, because you guys might have very different ways of wanting to raise the kids.
Mine's right, hers is wrong. Yep.
Exactly. That's usually right. The men usually know what's going on better than the women.
We do, as long, you know, at least in this form, and then I hear to tell us how wrong we are. Sure.
Right, but it is challenging to grow as a couple. It's not a lot of, you know, that's why you don't hear a lot about 30 anniversary, 25-year anniversary. You know, it's a rare thing. Usually it's, oh, you guys almost made it to 10. You know?
I'd be curious. I have to look it up. I'd be curious what the percentage of marriages that make it to, you know, the 5-year, the 10-year, like all the marks. No, but just to know. Like I'd actually be curious to understand that. But I got a question for you. So I was having a conversation with Kayla recently, and
your daughter,
my daughter Kayla, and it was sort of we were disagreeing with each other. We were sort of working through something, right? And she mentioned the fact that here's what happens sometimes is she will have a conversation with my wife, right? That maybe is, you know, they're sort of fussing with each other a little bit, and then Terica will tell me about that conversation, right? And so I will develop an opinion about it, but I will also decide that I am, that I'm choosing Terica, choosing my wife, that I'm on her side, right? You know what I'm saying? Sort of thing. And that's a default choice. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then I'll talk to Kayla, and I will have already sort of, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm not getting involved, work it out with your mom, right? I'm not trying to get in the middle of it. Or I will say that I'm supporting your mom's position on this, blah, blah, blah. And Kayla sometimes feels like I should support her. She's like, I'm your daughter, you should support me. And so I mentioned all of that simply to say that a long time ago, when the kids were maybe elementary school age or something like that, I know I was doing some work on myself, and we were doing work on our marriage. And one of the things that I learned, that I decided, learned, whatever you want to call it, was that I needed to choose my wife first over the kids, right? You know what I'm saying? I needed to say that I need to prioritize her, and we need to prioritize each other. And so I communicated that. And so Kayla sort of said something to me about it. Like, she's like, yeah, me and Kendall know mom comes first, but she said it in a way of, that means you don't really care about us, or we come last, or whatever the case is. And so, and I, you know, it got in my head a little bit about it, because my intention was not to make her feel unimportant, right? My intention was that you're going to have these things that come up, and you need to make sure that you don't let your kids come between your relationship. Yeah, you made a choice before God, right? That was going to be your person, and you need to make sure you prioritize that. And so I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that? You know, and you have a different perspective, because at least, you know, for us, you know, we got married first, and then we had kids, and all the kids are our kids together, and all that sort of stuff, where you're in a sort of a different situation. But what are your thoughts about that in general, about sort of how you prioritize marriage over kids? And I don't mean just time. I mean, like, if you got to choose between the two, you know, sort of thing. You know, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, because I reflected on this a while ago, because with my second marriage is when we had kids. And I think I became a dad, and being a dad was my focus, bar none. That was it. There wasn't really a marriage relationship to think about, because my priority was the survival of my children and being there for them. And I was a very hands-on, active dad.
Right.
And after the divorce, I realized that was a big part of it, because we didn't invest in each other.
Right.
We didn't. You talk about date nights, you talk about, counseling or any of that stuff, but really it was already gone before any of that stuff, so
Right.
that would have been a band-aid at best. But my priority were my kids. And after the divorce, I just had quiet time, just me and my kids. I had them every other week, week on, week off type of thing. And
Right.
that's where all my energy went. All my energy went there. So I didn't really know how to balance dating and my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I got into my relationship with my wife, it was still that way, like my head was still around the kids. And at some point I had to make a conscious decision that if I want this marriage to work,
Mm-hmm.
that this marriage has got to be the biggest focus. And then together we can work on the kids,
Right.
and be there for the kids. And I think that's where it's growing into.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
took I had to take a conscious mindset to say, that this relationship's important, and the kids are getting older, and they can figure stuff out, and we'll
Right.
be there to support them now.
Mm-hmm.
But my marriage has got to be the key. And it's funny because it always stuck with me. There's a show a while ago called Kelly and Regis, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
Kelly one time made a comment that her priority has always been her husband over the kids, and she got a lot of flack for that. It was like, how could you say your husband's more important than your children? And it's true though. It has to be, because even after the kids are out of the house, you still have each other. When the
Mm-hmm.
kids have nothing to do with you because they're teenagers and don't want anything to do with you, want just their friends and all the school activities, you still have each other. But if you guys have nothing in common anymore, and you guys were just there for the kids, you'll find that when the kids are gone, you guys
Relationships
are
gone.
two different,
Yeah.
you're two
Yeah.
individuals in the house. So I believe she was right to say that, and I believe that that the relationship has got to come first, because if you're in a happy relationship, you'll be better parents to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I believe,
Yeah.
as
And
opposed to angry.
yeah, and it's interesting because people who talk about it, right? Even when I talk about it, I don't know what word I used, but what it sounded like the people were pushing back on Kelly was that you said that your husband is more important than your kids. And I feel like when we're making those decisions, what we're doing is talking about when there are sort of conflicts and things, and when there are, when you have to make, prioritization decisions. But I don't know that I'd say that I would categorize it as my wife is more important than my kids, right? I don't know that that's what I would say, right? I would say that if I have to choose between the two in a disagreement, I'm going to support my wife, right? I would say that even if she's wrong, right? I'd support her, and then we'd have a conversation on like, hey, that's a little wrong, maybe adjust it, right, sort of thing, right? Or make sure that I don't neglect my marriage for my kids, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's those sort of things where it's when they're at odds. But I don't necessarily think that the way that I thought about it was my wife is more important than my kids. But I think my kids heard that, right? When I was trying to articulate it to them, I think my kids heard that. And I think the thing that I heard back in the day, and it's been said many times, so it's not the first thing I heard, was that the best thing you can do for your kids is to treat your wife as a husband, treat your wife well, right? That's the best thing you could do for your kids, is let them see what a healthy, good relationship is. Now, I think I struggled in that aspect throughout the course of our marriage, right? I'm saying, in terms of doing a good job at that. I'm always sort of a work in progress when it comes to that, also when it comes to being a parent. But I think that was the idea, was that's the best thing that you can do for your kids, is sort of to do that. So I don't know that I would categorize it as the kids not being important, or the wife or the spouse being more important than the kids. But it's the sort of thing where you can't neglect one for the other. And I think it's very common for people to neglect their marital relationship because of the parent relationship. And I think the message that probably therapists and all those, whoever created this idea and started communicating this idea, is don't neglect your marriage for your children, right? You have to preserve and respect and honor and support each other, throughout your marriage, and don't neglect it because ultimately you're going to punish the kids anyway. You think you're prioritizing the kids, but what you do is you punish them because now you have facilitated the breaking up of that family unit that would probably have been best for them, if you could do that well. You know what I'm saying? And so that's sort of, I think, what they're trying to do, because I think a lot of people make that mistake. So anyway, I think it's an interesting concept, and I think it can be hard. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of people that I've seen who've been married for a long time, what I do see is that they prioritize each other, right? I think maybe the conflict and the choosing one over the other is probably something. I tend to be very above board, so I'm gonna discuss everything. I'm gonna talk about everything. If I'm having a thought, we're gonna talk about it. And sometimes you should just shut the F up and not talk about it, because then you put these messages in people's minds that maybe they don't need to know exactly what that is. You know what I'm saying? Sort of thing. So I think that's one of the things I have to learn, is when to not say what I'm thinking, because I think, oh, you should always, express your thoughts for the most part, but I have to learn when to not say what I'm thinking, because I think that you end up imprinting and impacting people long term with these words that they hear from you, even though maybe your actions may say something slightly different, but since you're talking it out loud, now they hear that message, and then you can't get away from it. So anyway.
I often say actions speak louder than words, but it feels like words are impactful because it makes people feel a certain way as well, And
that doesn't mean that you're going to neglect your kids either, right? I think it's easy to not neglect your kids, right? You know what I'm saying? I think there's this instinct that takes over as a parent that leads you to be unlikely to neglect your kids. I'm saying nobody ever does it. People do it all the time. But I think there's an instinct there that maybe it's not necessarily the same instinct that happens in a marriage, and so I think that's why sometimes the marriage relationship takes sort of a lot of intentionality to ensure that that you take it where you want it to go. And I think it can be really easy. I think a very common, if you talk about marriages that break up post having kids, I'd be willing to bet that most of them will point to the focus on the kids as a major reason for why they sort of broke up, why they didn't last. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just a very common thing. And I think the messaging that's out there about prioritize your marriage, about your spouse over your kids, is about not allowing that neglect to happen, not forgetting that you're to prioritize your marriage as well.
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to hear, because what they think is, like, they be doing these extreme versions of stuff, like, all right, so if somebody gotta die, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let my kids die. Like, that's not the hell we talking about, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they think when they say more important, whatever the case is, but that's not what we're really talking about. What we're saying is I need to make sure that I spend quality time with my wife. I don't just ignore my wife because we have kids, right? Or, it's those sorts of things. It's much more nuanced than sometimes sort of the sound bites make it sound like,
Well, so guys are very simple, and I think women overlook this part of how simple we are, but we like status quo. we liked you, we got you, we're good. So what's the problem? And women are like, you got me because you wooed me, then you stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So now my feelings are adjusting because you're not giving me the same attention that you gave me while we were dating. And
by the way, the status quo thing, by the way, do you see how in your status quo, the status quo did not include the wooing?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the truth is that it was the behaviors we were exhibiting, right? We're talking about sort of the overall status, and they're talking about the behaviors that got you to the status.
Correct.
And you have that conversation where you're like, why can't we just maintain? They're like, you didn't maintain the shit you was doing. That's why, Anyway.
Yeah, because we don't maintain. We say, we got you. You're home. You're with us. We're good. We're not having any blow-ups. We're working.
We're accomplishment focused. We accomplished that thing. We don't have to keep trying to accomplish. I don't have to keep running the race. If I want to race, why am I still running?
I got you.
Running around the track, the race is over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I accomplished my mission.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And we forget that women like that attention still. And we stop. We stop giving them that attention because we get into parent mode. We get into, I have to feed these kids 3 times a week. Three times a day.
Damn, oh, shit. All right.
You're not expensive caffeine every day, can you? You know,
you get 3 meals a month.
Meals a month.
Last boy.
Everything else you go figure out yourself. No, so you got 3 meals a day. So you got to feed them.
Breakfast on Monday, lunch on Wednesday, dinner on Friday. The rest is on you.
But you get into a routine, right? You got to get them up. You got to get them to school. You got to get them cleaned. You fed. You got to get them to soccer practice, band practice, a gym, whatever it is that you're doing with them. And you're not doing a lot of stuff with each other. You're just being sure the kids are being juggled to their different places, and you don't.
And when you are doing something with each other, it's around doing something for the kids.
It's totally around the kids. Oh, it's totally. Oh my God. Okay, so after soccer, maybe we'll go grab a bite to eat or something if we have time and we're not exhausted. From doing this and doing that all day. And this is something where I only have my kids every other week. So it's a little bit easier for me. But for people that are married, have the kids 24/7, the challenge is real to separate yourself from the kids, because you got to have a good, maybe babysitter, family member, someone that you can drop your kids off with. I didn't have that. I didn't have a good network of people to watch my kids. And my kids were with me all the time. There was no really going out and doing anything, because are we going to bring our kids to date night? We can't find a good babysitter, we did, so those challenges are real when you are married in a household. How do you get that date night? How do you get that alone time?
And even when you're trying to do it, like you're dead tired, right? If you try, when the kids go to bed, right? Now we're going to try to spend some time together, and y'all are exhausted. You know what I'm saying?
Exhausted. And that's the reason why everything starts fading. And you have to get past that exhaustion to seriously work on the date, and work on the relationship and calendar it or something, that you guys know that this is what's coming up. Date night's coming up. The kids know it's date night. We have a babysitter, a relative, whatever coming for that, if we can set that up. But it's another expense if it's a babysitter, and it's another challenge to get a relative to come watch them and not get called 3 times while you're out on your dinner or date or whatever you're doing. So vacation time's almost impossible. And that's another thing, is like traveling with your kids is just taking them to a different location. Is it really relaxing?
Right.
So that's a totally different conversation. But the challenge is maintaining the relationship with your spouse. It's a real challenge, and I know we've probably talked about this before. I'm sure we have, and it is not easy growing with your partner. It takes work. It's a real thing, and just remember, if that relationship doesn't work, you're doing it with somebody else, unless you like being alone. So why not put the work into the relationship that you have already?
Right. Maintain the kids, right? The kids' nuclear family, sort of thing. By the way, kids are cock blockers, by the way. You're trying to do all that stuff. Then you're trying to do some stuff with your spouse. Man, kids be jacking that mess up. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Jacking that mess up.
I heard some noise in there. What are you guys doing? What's going on? Can we come in and watch TV now?
Yeah, one of the things I like most about having the kids out of the house was the need to not have quiet sex anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, what I'm saying? Because my wife is always quiet, but I'm loud. No, I'm joking. But anyway, but I'm saying, the need to not have to be like thinking about noise. You know what I'm saying? Sort of thing where you're like, don't wake the kids up. That sort of thing. I will tell. I think I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but I know I said this to you. Is that one of the things that we used to do, and I don't know if this is good or bad, whatever, but I think it probably helped. Is at some point the kids are generally self-sufficient, and I don't mean self-sufficient like 15-year-old self-sufficient. I mean self-sufficient like 7-year-old self-sufficient. They can watch TV, they can grab a snack, whatever. And Terica and I used to have meetings. Right, I'm trying to air quote on the camera, and we would tell the kids be downstairs, they'd be doing something. It's awake time though; it's not sleepy time. So we're awake too, but they're awake, right? And we would be like, "Mom and Daddy need to go have a meeting," right? And they were occupied; they were downstairs or in another room, depending on what house or wherever we were at. But they were in a different part of the unit, and they were like watching TV or playing games, whatever they were doing. And then we would go and we would do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we would call it. We're going to go have a meeting, right? Mom and Dad are going to go have a meeting. And that at least addressed the whole, it's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. The kids are asleep. Yes, but I'm also tired. It addressed some of that. So we just had took those opportunities when the kids didn't require constant watching. You know what I'm saying? You know, when they're not going to kill themselves because they got 45 minutes alone, you know, sort of thing. Now you still had to, you know, you still had to be thoughtful
45
about
minutes alone. What are you doing for 45 minutes? I thought you were going to like say 10 minutes alone. 45 minutes. I don't need to be having that kind of pressure.
Frame is, man. I'm saying you got to try to make. What are you doing?
5 minutes alone. You're 5 minutes alone.
Can't make everything a quickie, man. What's wrong with you? So but I'm simply saying that. Whatever the number is, a half hour, 2 hours, but just they can handle it, right? They can handle it. The point is not the time. The point is that they can handle it. You still have to be thoughtful about the sound because at some point, you know, and I think my kids told me at some point they knew they figured out what a meeting was.
What meeting was.
But here's the thing. Again, going back to the thing we said about prioritizing your spouse, I don't think it's a bad thing that the kids at some point know that mommy and daddy make each other feel good. Whatever they think that means, right? Depending on how old they are. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that is part of what they should. I don't think they should be like in the room with you and no shit like that, right? But I think it's okay that they know that mommy and daddy enjoy each other, spend time together, you know, when they're old enough to understand it, have sex, make love, whatever the case is. And so I think that's okay. I don't think that's the sort of thing you have to really hide from them. You have to flaunt it. You know what I'm saying? You know, to start like foreplay at dinner, you know what I'm saying? And shit, well, like real physical foreplay, you know, even the mental foreplay, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. Anyway, but you know, yeah. I don't think I ever mastered that one. Anyway, so but yeah, so you know, so you have some options there, right? You have some options. And I think that was one of the things that we did is at some point we recognized it. Trying to hold everything until late at night when the kids were already asleep was hard. And so we just started going, we're gonna do it now. Look at them. They watching whatever. They're doing whatever. They're on their video games and whatever.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Stay down here. Stay down here. We got to meet. That's why we call it meeting. Like, you can't interrupt. Like, stay down here. It's important business we're about to do. You stay your butt down here. And we go up and, you know.
We got to pay some bills.
Seconds. I don't know, whatever time you want to say now, Erick.
35 seconds.
35 seconds. But, you know, the half hour, 45 minutes, whatever the case is. So, but yeah, so, but I think that was one of the things that probably made it a little better for us is that we just found those times. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Yeah, and you have to find those times. That's the important part of the relationship.
Make those times. Let's just say find. You have
to
make those times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you have to be mindful of it. No matter, I think if you're tired or whatever the case might be, one of you may not be in the mood. One of you may just be, you know, but it's like, okay, this is what we got to do for the relationship. And you'll get in the mood when you're there. So.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to get in the mood right in. You can be not in the mood the entire time. No, I'm just. That's fucking sorry. That's terrible. That's terrible. But yeah, you know, you do. That's the other part. That's even if everybody's different hormones, all the stuff. But you're right. At some point, if it's going well, let's go with that. You get in the mood, right? You know, you may not have mentally been in the mood when you started, but at some point you're kind of in the mood, you know. So you do what you got to do.
Right.
But yeah. You should be. If you never get in the mood at any point, at some point, the other person should stop. I mean, I don't know how you do it if somebody's if one of the people is not in the mood at any point.
We just talked about this last time, which is like you don't want anyone to ever say, "Are you done yet?" You know?
Oh my god, that's terrible. Yeah, dude, that's terrible.
Come on. Like, I need to get back to the dishes. Can you just like finish it up right now? You know, like. That'd be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. That feels like someone's suffering through it. Yeah. I can't do with the suffering.
And that's not working on the relationship, right? That does not help the relationship situation. So on either one. So I think what you talked about is 30 years. You're not the same person from the beginning. You took the time, you changed, you guys worked it out together. You found interest together to do, you're evolving. And you didn't want one person to stay the way they always are. You guys tried to grow together as adults and as a couple. And now you're in the empty nest phase of things. And it seems like it's in a pretty good place right now for you guys.
I think so. I think that there were good places throughout of it, right? You know what I'm saying? I think all of them were good places. You know, you just do with it what you have. You know what I'm saying? You can't be an empty nester when your kids are there. So you do what you can when you have the whole kid thing, right? And so, but yeah, I don't disagree. But I also think that my personal bent is to always be working on it and working on myself and working on the relationship, right? And so I think if you're always trying to make things better, you're actually not trying to have status quo, right? So you talked about status quo. I'm actually not a status quo sort of person. I'm a creature of habit, but I'm also a work on things, work on yourself, work on the relationship. And so I think if you focus on the relationship, you start paying attention, you start noticing those things. Hey, it's not quite where it should be. Or you're having conversations about it and you're figuring stuff out and you're then working to make it better. And if you're always working to make it better, then it's all kind of hard to have it just be stagnant. That doesn't mean it's not possible, because I'm sure it is. And I'm sure there are times in our relationship when it was in fact stagnant. But if you're at least always working on yourself and always working on the relationship, trying to make it better and improve upon it, I think you sort of grow and evolve without necessarily knowing that you're growing and evolving. You're just doing the work, and it turns out that the result is you're growing and evolving. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's probably the same way. It's like if by the way, I'm not the person to talk about going to the gym, but from people who talk about who do know what they're talking about, you're going to the gym every day and you're doing the work and you're getting better, and and you may not necessarily see the muscles growing like day to day, but your body is getting better. It's getting stronger. It's evolving and so I think the relationship is the same thing.
I think you're right. And the challenge is to do that, because most of the time we don't. When things get tough, we walk away. We change. Whether that's jobs, cars, you got to do too much work, like relationships are hard. And people don't think they are. They think that they should be easy. And they should be, unicorns and fluffy all the time. Just like when you guys first met, you guys were happy to see each other. You guys were giggly to see each other, everything. And they think that should just come natural, and that's it. And no, relationships are hard, personally and professionally, so
relationships like dicks are hard. No, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the way you said it before. You're talking about it being a hard dick anyway. But yeah, they are in fact hard, but they're doable. They're manageable, right? For the most part,
if you want to do the work, it's hard to do work. We don't like to do work. We don't like to do work when we're at work. We get frustrated that we get more work at work. we get frustrated when we have to do stuff that we're getting paid to do. We get frustrated when you pile more stuff on our day while we're at work, when we're only paid to be at work and do the work. We think it should be fun, easy, and I get angry when I get stuff more piled on top of me. And it's like, oh, what are they doing? It's like, working you. Like, you're working, but you're paid to do that. Your relationship, you're paid with the support of your spouse. That should fulfill you. Your significant other should be the one that's fulfilling you, that is there. And we forget to put the work in, and we forget what the rewards are for that, because if they're happy, we're happy type of situation. I seriously don't understand people that are unhappy, whether at work or in their personal life, that are not doing anything to work on it. They're angry all the time. They're disrespectful to each other. They're frustrated, and they do nothing. They could. And I tell people this all the time. Life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you choose to respond. Right. And if we choose to respond in a negative way because life is unfair, and we don't put the work into it to make it better. We don't remember why we were excited about work. Why was I excited to get that phone call to get the job offer? Why was I excited to go out with my significant other? Why did I, ask them out, or why was I excited to go out with them when they asked me out? Like, we forget about these things because the work is not put in to remind us that I actually did enjoy this person beforehand, and I lost that joy.
Yeah, it's very odd. I don't know if we just take things for granted. I don't know. But if I think about it from a physical standpoint, right? Just from a physical standpoint, my wife is beautiful. She is aged like fine wine, right? It's freaking amazing. And so as a dude, I'm a regular dude, right? I like to see shit, right? See stuff. And so I could see something out there that is not as good as my wife, does not look as good as my wife does. And I will pay sometimes more attention to that than I do my wife. And sometimes part of it is your perspective, right? Sometimes I get the most, like I appreciate her most when I actually see her from sort of the appreciation distance, if that makes any sense, right? I think about my car. And
what's the appreciation distance?
When I can sort of see the whole body, right?
Okay.
So if I'm walking with her, unless I'm standing down like this, I'm not seeing her, right? We're walking, we're holding hands. I'm not seeing her, right? But I see somebody 10 feet away, 20 feet away, I see the whole body. I'm like, oh, in my head, I'm like, that should look nice. You know what I'm I don't get to see my wife that way very often, where she's far from me. You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. So it's only when I see her in those moments, I'm like, God damn, she look way better than all these motherfuckers out here. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a weird situation where, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't get to see it sort of always in the same I don't know, it's a weird circumstance. Same with my car, right? I'm in my car. I like my car. I actually don't often appreciate my car until I happen to walk up on it in a parking lot. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a nice looking car. I like that car. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm visual and I'm now seeing it from the distance where I can appreciate it, right? Yeah. When you're sitting in it or when you're right next to it, you can't see it. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know I don't know what the lesson here is. I just know that I recognize that that my wife is way more beautiful than everything that's out there, but I only sometimes really notice it when I get to see it from a distance. You know what I'm saying? And again, the distance is not like 100 feet away. The distance is maybe 10 feet away, right? But I just get to see the whole thing. And sometimes we're so close all the time, I don't get to see that very often. And so I wonder if it may make sense, as I'm thinking it through in real time, if it may make sense to create those opportunities to sort of be able to sort of see her from a little bit, from what I would call the appreciation distance, right? The distance where I can appreciate the whole, this is a physical thing, the whole of her physical being, you know what I'm saying? And I made it work on that a little bit. I'm thinking about that, you know, like I'm like, we're at a pool, I appreciate it the most because sometimes I'm in the chair, she's in the pool, you know, that's when I'm like, look at that shit, you know what I'm saying? But if we're sitting next to each other, she's super close. So I'm not, one of my neck doesn't work very well. So, you know, I don't see it, you know, so anyway, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't know where that came from. But there is definitely, for me at least, and I don't know if it goes for other guys, an appreciation distance. And I think that, you know, I can forget, I have forgotten sort of how beautiful and sexy and attractive my wife is because I don't see her from the distance where I appreciate it the most.
Right.
Physically.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Makes sense, especially if you're sitting next to her and everything else. You know, you're sitting, like we go out to dinner, we always sit next to each other. But I know some people that enjoy sitting across from their significant other because they get to look at them and engage them. Mm-hmm. And I like sitting next because I like the touching and the physical aspect of it. And we all get to see the same thing.
Oh, okay. So you're doing the Lauren Boebert or whoever that was in the theater thing at the restaurant. Okay, you did something else. You said something else like that before. So all right, physical touching. All right, under the table.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Hey, whatever it takes. Hey, look, you're a year and a half in, man. Keep it. Whatever it takes to keep it going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Whatever it takes to keep it going.
But we enjoy each other, and we do have to be mindful of those things because it's easy to get out of the dating feel and process.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. But man, we covered a lot of stuff today, and this is not even what we were thinking about.
Nope, it's all good
at all. But it was a good conversation, I think, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So who is as we close out? Who are you got any sponsors? Anybody you want to shout out?
You know, I'm just going to say wife's been super supportive. Some things been going on at work and everything, and she's been great about everything. And she loves seeing these things play out. So she's been awesome all along the way. So, yeah.
Well, good. And from my standpoint, I will say for those of you that happen to be watching this, please just go ahead and like and subscribe. We're trying to get discovered, have other people see us that may enjoy this, so please take a moment and do that. We've been putting a lot out on Instagram and TikTok and what's the other thing and YouTube with all of this. So please do that. And I would also, in the spirit of what we've been talking about, 30 years marriage, I appreciate my loving, awesome wife, Terica, for her support in all things, not just this endeavor, but in all things. So I appreciate you. I love you. I'm gonna do the Erick thing where you look in the camera. You're my baby. All righty, man. Well, look, it was good talking to you as always.
Always good. So, man, you take care. Have a good one.
All right, you too now.
Okay.
All right, bye.
You've been listening to On Second Thought with Erick, Richey, and Bish Bates, where it's never too late to rethink, rewind, and revisit the conversation. If you laughed, learned, or had your own On Second Thought moment, go ahead and subscribe, share, and leave us a review. We want to hear your thoughts. Even if you change them later, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at On Second Thought Show and join the conversation. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and don't be afraid to say, you know what? On second thought,